Rip it.
Whip it, Otto, whip it.
All right, we got some music rolling. Welcome back. We are back. Two fans, one Paul, with myself. I almost call myself KB. David Quist and
Music rolling.
echo reverb. That's all right. We got myself, David Quist, and KB Kirk Brown, and of course, promo guy with the echo in the background, because he's watching us live like everybody else. So if you're on YouTube or Twitch, we appreciate you guys already. How we doing, guys?
We're doing good. Excited to have.
Because he's watching us live like everybody else.
Sam, turn it off, buddy. We're live.
You guys are ready.
Wow, chill out, chill
How we doing,
out.
guys? We're doing good. Because
Okay,
he's
there we
watching
go.
us live.
I am not an expert. My bad.
That's okay. That's why we do it live. It's fun.
Okay.
All right.
Here we go.
Got it figured out.
KB, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, really excited. It's the last basically full weekend of college football with games on Saturday. Super excited for everything kind of coming in. Obviously, Michigan has a huge game, and there's a lot of fun games last few days and a lot of fun games today, and then obviously Monday. And obviously happy that promo guy can join us so we can rip off some betting expertise maybe or some lines to hit and also some college football insight. Sam, how we doing?
Yeah, doing good. Felt like posting to the Discord today, so we're doing the live stream. Not particularly well at the
That's
start, but we're getting after it. So we'll do some recap of some bowl games, talk about some going forward, and then I do have some bets because that's what I do. So
Absolutely.
stay tuned for some of those. We'll put them in live. So
Absolutely. I love that. Appreciate you as well. Shout out to all the guys that follow Sam there in chat. I'll be doing my best to look at that. I know Sam will as well. But I'll just jump right in, guys. KB, I know we're doing our picks, so I kind of want to recap that first. I'm still up on you. Arizona, I had Arizona. You had Oklahoma, correct? Any thoughts in the games last two days or so? I know I picked Mizzou. Feel good about that one, 14-3, a win. We both had Notre Dame, big win, 40-8. The Clemson-Kentucky game was drunk at the end. Clemson scored 28 in the fourth quarter, which was nuts. And I think we both had Iowa State, which sucked. Memphis kind of went off. I didn't really watch a lot of those games. I was watching some college hockey. But any thoughts, KB, on those games before we jump into today and then on Monday?
Yeah, the Oklahoma-Arizona game was wild. There was like 6 turnovers, and Arizona might have the coolest turnover tradition that I've recently seen. They have like a giant cactus that has
sick.
like a pointed tip on it, and they take any of the balls they get on turnovers and punch them through there and carry it around. So that was pretty cool. But I think that game, Oklahoma was the better team. I thought they moved the ball more consistently. Arizona just had so many turnovers. And honestly, I look at play calling for Oklahoma. I mean, they were up double digits. I think they were up 10, and they were running the ball pretty effectively. And they're like, "Hey, true freshman, we need to see you throw more," and just kept throwing it. And he made a lot of mistakes. Their O-line didn't protect well, and Noah Fafita stayed hot. I did see something that McMillan and him, they played college football together. If you didn't hear it enough,
High school.
high school football together. And the thing with them is they're now looking at portal transfers instead of everyone saying, "Oh my God, look how Arizona's going to be absolutely loaded heading into the Big 12 for the first year, especially offensively." It's now, "Oh my God, they're going to transfer into the portal together and they'll make a big splash and make a bunch of money." Just kind of puts a sour note onto something that's really, really cool. But outside of that, Clemson game was great. Sam, did you have any insights over any of those games that you really liked or enjoyed? Because a lot of them were fun. I mean, I want to talk about Missouri, OSU a little bit more, Dave, but I want to hear your first thoughts.
I bet you do want to talk about OSU because that was a train wreck. But shout out us in the Discord. We did have Arizona money line. There was also a Kentucky first half play that was posted somewhere. So I think that was shout out to Robin in the Discord. That was a fun one. That Arizona game, man, I was kind of on the bandwagon a little earlier this year when they almost beat USC. But I was just watching that game and I was like, fuck, that'd be cool if they were in the same conference next year as Arizona goes to the Big 12. But
yeah,
Oklahoma, they're bailing on them. So that's kind of a bummer. But I do think Arizona's going to be a fun team next year. So we'll get some money down on them as next year comes around. But Clemson, UK, Dabo's such a cornball, man. He acted like he won a natty. beating Quist Wildcats over there by 3. But was it a good game? Yeah, it was all right to watch. I don't know. That was not on my list of favorites. So
I would
uh,
concur.
I did go to a Clemson game this year, and I will say it was pretty underwhelming. So Clemson, whatever, good win, I guess. Um, yeah. So like you said Oregon State, Notre Dame. I feel bad for the Beavs, but we got
Yeah.
your coach. So
yeah, half the coaches and the backup quarterback and the tight end.
yeah. So
So
for you guys who are joining, Quist up there with the Whitecaps, Grand Rapids
this guy.
baseball team. He's a Michigan State fan, like myself. Um, and then our other buddy KB, he is a
If you couldn't tell,
what's that logo on your shirt?
is
I
that
don't know.
Mizzou?
Yeah, it's close.
He is a Missouri fan. So so let's talk about Mizzou.
Yeah, I only watched the second half because I was at the GLI, the hockey tournament in Grand Rapids. But the second half, I kind of tuned in. I think Mizzou's 2 drives were both over 90 yards. Really awesome to see. Luther Burton didn't do much until that touchdown at the end, and Cody Strader had a touchdown too. You know, I always love talking about him. KB, you know that. Walk on, great story. So I guess I tuned in at the right time, and then Drinkowitz, the coach for Mizzou, had a nice little post-game speech. He was pretty hyped up, and for me, I think that's
I like that dude.
yeah, me too. For me, I think that's a big program win for Mizzou. I know Ohio State had some guys out. I know Harrison wasn't playing. Obviously, their quarterback's transferring to Syracuse. But all things considered, I think that's a big win. Their defense showed up, and Ohio State looked like dog water.
Yeah, I mean, Ohio State's defense played great. Like, all things considered, they really only started to move the ball late in the fourth quarter. They had back-to-back 90-yard drives like you were talking about, Dave. But before that, they couldn't do much offensively. And that was a very explosive offense. That was an offense that put up points on basically everyone. I think that was their lowest point total all season. So the shout out to that Ohio State defense because they played exceptionally well. But there has to be some questions. Ryan Day, you're an offensive coordinator, and your offense sucks. And I know that Devin Brown went out with a weird little ankle injury. He injured that earlier in the year too, but just the concepts didn't make sense. Like you had some really great runs on some of the second half drives. It reminded me of the Michigan game where you ran the ball like 8 consecutive times, a lot of like powerful movement on the O-line, and you really didn't consistently get back to that. And in the possession where you ran it well, you were like, all right, now we got to get out on the edge. Now we got to make things look nice. And I was not impressed by their wide receivers. They didn't help their freshman QB out at all. They didn't come back to the ball well. It just looked like a lack of inspirational effort there. They didn't look like they were fired up, ready to play. And, you know, they have some questions to answer at the quarterback position. Their O-line was atrocious. So, I mean, I'm happy they lost. You know, anytime you can see OSU lose, it feels good. But he's got to figure some things out because he's, I think, getting closer to a hot seat if next year doesn't go great. I don't think he's there. Obviously, I don't think he should be fired. But holy Lord, that was a bad football game offensively.
Sam, any thoughts?
I think you're nuts if you want the guy fired, Ryan Day. But at the same time, like that fan base might have the highest standards out of any program, rightfully so. So he's got to change something up. I don't know whether that be a new coordinator or maybe he should recruit better. Not actually, because they get the best roster in the fucking world. But I don't know. It's nice to see them lose. It's nice to see them struggle. Those fans have it real easy, so they can go through some crap that we go through.
Yeah,
I'm fine
it was
with it.
real struggle
So,
with 10 or 11 wins.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing too. Sam, you mentioned fire the OC. Ryan Day took the offensive coordinator job away from Hartline, who was their wide receiver coach that got elevated because he's the best wide receiver recruiter and developer in the country probably. And he graduated into OC, and then by I think like game 4 or 5, he took away all the offensive play calling duties. So it's Ryan Day's offense, his identity. And if you can't, I know
As it
Missouri's a
should
good
be.
defense. I think they have a lot of good pieces, but like there just wasn't a good game plan. Like that's not how you beat. Like you left your tackles out to dry all game, and your quarterback couldn't step into a throw, and it was just bad. It looked like the offensive line was moving in slow motion a lot too. Like even on the run plays, they were just getting beat across their face all game. So I mean,
Yeah,
it
it's pretty
sucks.
Fun to watch.
Yeah, it sucks for them, but fun to watch for us.
Yes.
before we move on, we almost missed this, but the Pop-Tart Bowl, that was so electric. That mascot, I think every food, like we should eat a bowl of Captain or
It was Tony the Tiger Bowl. So
Tony,
Frosted
Tony the
Flakes.
Tiger. We should have some
Frosted
Frosted
Flakes.
Flakes. Yeah, there should be something like that. That was awesome. It was fun. That's what bowl season should be about. Is like,
Yeah.
hey, you get another final game. Seniors are going out, and that'd be a ton of fun. So it was. I just needed to shout that out. We were still waiting 3 days later if he's going to be resurrected, but we
Yeah,
were still waiting.
as much as people say like, oh, bowl season's lost its luster, like I agree, but like for Mizzou, like Quiz said, big win. Looking back, they're not going to say, "Oh, well, OSU had these guys out. The quarterback got hurt, and they didn't give a shit." Like it's a win, so
Yeah.
good for them. All these fun little quirks going on. Like it's fun to watch. So, if we want to, do we want to talk about Notre Dame at all, or
I mean,
I do have a bet for Wisconsin LSU. I did find a spot that was actually pretty good. Um, and if you want to talk about that, get into the preview. If you're going to follow along on the bets, get your Caesars app open. Oh, not you, Siri. Siri, Caesars. Okay, get your Caesars apps open. I'll hit you with a bet here in a sec. If you guys want to get going on the
yeah, we'll get.
Yeah,
to,
we can start the game previews.
we can do the previews. We'll get to that game probably in 5 minutes or so. So we'll just talk about the games of today, and then we'll jump to Monday. So obviously, right now live is Ole Miss Penn State. What's the score? 20-17 at half. Ole Miss is up. I have Ole Miss straight up. KB, do you have Penn State right?
I have Penn State, yeah.
So for people that don't know, KB and I did a pick'em, straight up pick'em for Bowl Mania. Winner gets $100. I'm feeling pretty good about this game. I think pretty high scoring, all things considered, so far in the first half with this decent Penn State defense. But Ole Miss.
we have the under.
You have the under. Okay, fun.
Yep. Good for us.
Yeah, that's looking really good. I just think Ole Miss can do enough still to keep this game as this game continues, but Penn State's kind of fighting back with that offense that has been kind of questionable this year. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the game finishes. Any more thoughts on that one?
Yeah,
Jamie?
Lane Kiffin has drawn up some really creative play calling. Brady Pierscorn, who's a Michigan kid, who's originally, I think, committed to Penn State, if I'm remembering correctly, decommitted, went to Ole Miss. He has, they've got him out on some like lost in the mess of chaos thing routes a few times for a few big scores. So he's doing a really good job. Lane Kiffin, Dave, that was one of the keys that you talked about in the preview, is that Kiffin with some time, he can draw up some really creative plays.
Yes.
And we've seen that. Running game got going in the late in the second quarter against Penn State after they lost Abdul Carter. So that'll be interesting to see going forward if he's back. He got hit low on a chop block, which I think should have been a penalty because you can't chop block outside of the tackle box, I think, or against.
It's like 5
defenders
yards. There's a bunch of weird
Yeah.
rules about it now.
But that's a good game. And then another game going on right now is the Trans Perfect Music City Bowl. Dave, you have Auburn in this game. I have Maryland. Maryland's currently up 7-0
Yep.
a few minutes into the first. Other games today, Georgia, Florida State. That's going to be shellacking. Florida State doesn't have football players left on the roster. And then Toledo, Wyoming is the Barstool Bowl here in Arizona. Toledo versus Wyoming. Toledo has a lot of dudes out in the transfer portal. I have Wyoming in that game.
I
Dave,
have
you
Toledo.
still took Toledo, right?
Absolutely.
Yep.
And I switched my pick to
That might-
Georgia. That's an easy pick, 20-point spread. Besides the live bet you're going to make for the next game, Sam, any thoughts in the last 4 games we just talked about besides the under?
Yeah, don't pick Florida State straight up. First of all,
Yeah, I switched that
um,
last time KB and I recorded.
I love the idea, but they kind of got screwed by the committee. Don't get me going on that. The stream's gonna take 2 hours, but I will say I'm kind of glad they're not in the playoff. Like, did they get screwed over? Yeah, but I'm really pumped for these 2 matchups we do have. They're gonna get crushed.
Yes.
Wyoming, Toledo, that might be fun to watch just because the Barstool
it's on
shenanigans. I think.
CW too, which I don't
Isn't
know.
Gronk's gonna sing the national anthem or something?
Probably.
Yeah, I think that's
It's on
You'll be seeing
CW.
that on Twitter.
It's on CW too, and I don't even think Dave knew that for a while. The El Prez, but I'm interested. That's probably if I'm going to turn it on, I'll put it on CW Network because I don't feel like going on Barstool.tv, whatever the hell they use.
Yeah, I don't know if I even have that on YouTube TV, but I might flip it on. I might not.
I think you
But-
do. But we can jump
Cool.
to Monday, which is New Year's Day. Obviously, no games tomorrow for Bulls because the NFL owns Sunday. But the first game of the day is Wisconsin LSU, Sam. So take it away. Get your Caesars apps open now.
Yeah.
Meow.
So bet number one. As we say in the Discord, this is kind of a gulag pick. So we focus on like the plus EV stuff that's gonna make you money over time. But sometimes we like to do the somewhat degenerate bets, which gets you banished to the gulag. So you guys don't see me in there very much, but we got one for today. So LSU, Wisconsin, Heisman winner Daniels, he's out. Braylon Allen, Wisconsin, one of the better backs in the Big Ten, he's out as well. As well as one of Wisconsin's starting linebackers. I forget his first name, last name Turner. Is it Jordan?
Is that the guy that
Quist?
transferred to state?
Yeah,
I think
he
it's
will
Jordan.
be coming to East Lansing
I
next
believe
year.
that's Jordan
So
Turner, yeah.
nice to get a Big Ten starter coming to town. But I think 56 is a little too high. Circa had it at 55.5. You can get an extra half point at Caesars 56. I'm just going to throw a little bit of fun money on that. So you don't love to bet it under on a bowl game, but in this case, I think it's justified. So LSU Wisconsin under 56. Porter Kelly on that would be 0, but we're going to put a couple bucks on it. So
respectable.
Yeah, I like that idea. I think for
I mean, Jane Daniels
Wisconsin
being out too is got to play.
yeah, and Wisconsin's defense hasn't been great. I don't know if Neighbors or Thomas, but Wisconsin hasn't been a great team. I mean, I think they're going to struggle to move the ball even against a very, very, very bad defense in LSU. I just overall, Big Ten West teams suck. It's basically the equivalent of all the ACC right now. So I definitely picked LSU in this game without Jaden Daniels. They just have much better athletes, and it's going to take some time to get talent to circulate through that system with former Cincinnati head coach.
Yeah, I have LSU too. I think it's an easy pick. With kind of interested to see how good their backup does in this game. But I think I saw him earlier in the season. He looked okay. Just got to get that connection with the receivers. Hand the ball off to a running back, and hopefully LSU's defense can get a stop or two. And hopefully this game is just in the 20s for the under. But I like that pick, under 56 for the total for the Wisconsin LSU game. But the next game, we're going to be quicker for these games, then we'll deep dive on the semifinal games. The next game is the Liberty at Oregon game for the Verbo Fiesta.
At Oregon?
Yeah, at Oregon. Sorry, it's my bad. Just reading it on ESPN. At Liberty, Oregon in the Fiesta Bowl out in the desert by UKB. I think let's see my pick here. I got the Ducks. As much as I want to pick Liberty, I just don't think they have enough talent to make this game close whatsoever. I don't have much to say on this one. I think Oregon's just too talented overall and a really good team to lose to a middle of the road mid-major team that had a really weak schedule.
Yeah, they had like the 131st ranked strength of schedule this year. They didn't play anyone, and they played a lot of close games. This is not going to be close. In my opinion, I think this is going to be an absolute cakewalk by Oregon. Bo Nix is playing. They're going to want to put their dongs out for his 76th last football game. He basically hasn't had an NFL career at the college level, but yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Troy Franklin, Oregon, All-American type receiver. He's out. Remington Award winner, best center for Oregon. He's out. I don't think that's going to matter too much. Oregon's a 17-point favorite, rightfully so, in my opinion. But I'm not believing in Liberty at all. So my gulag bet for this one, I'm taking the Liberty team total under 21.5. You can get that at FanDuel. So some have it at 21 on the dot. Some have it at 21.5. FanDuel's the best price there. So I don't see them doing a whole lot. I mean, their offense is good. They scheme up some open receivers. I just don't see them keeping this close. Oregon kind of just crushes teams that they're better than. This is the case here. So
yeah,
under 21.5, that's minus 111 at FanDuel. So that's another bet that I'm going to be taking.
I like that. Liberty team total under. I like that one for sure, Sam. Yeah, I'm going to reiterate all of our points one more time. Oregon's is too talented. I think their defense is actually pretty solid too, and we'll see that Liberty is, even though they're 13-0, they're not, that's just a good record with a weak schedule. But we'll jump to the next game. This should be a fun matchup, defense versus offense. I think Milton's out, though. We have Iowa, Tennessee in the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl, and I have the Volunteers as my pick, KB. I really don't think Iowa can do much on offense. Obviously, we talked about this multiple times. Their punting yards are more than their offensive yards. So that's all I really have to say. I think Tennessee wins. I think their freshman, I can't remember his name, KB is starting. I know we talked about him here and there.
Nico Iamaleava.
Yep, he's starting.
Nice.
And I think he's a really 5-star, highly rated
First
kid.
time.
I think that I think he'll be pretty good. He'll be throwing it around with that high pool offense, and Iowa's defense might slow them down a little bit, but I don't think Iowa can score. Even though Tennessee's defense isn't amazing either, but maybe a low-scoring game. But Tennessee, I think is the much better team here.
Yeah, I think this offense could be much better. You know how I feel about Joe Milton. We had that experience here.
Great
Everyone
arm
likes
talent.
his tools. Everyone likes his tool. Well, not really, because arm talent means you can hit receivers.
True, arm
and
strength.
He can throw it really far, yeah, but he doesn't really have
See
the
that
finesse.
mountains?
Yeah, he can throw a football a quarter mile, but I think
Uncle
for
Milton.
him, I think this offense could look a little bit more precise. Obviously, I don't know a ton about Nico. Obviously, he's a 5-star freshman. There's good and bad. You're going to see great play, and Iowa can certainly confuse the heck out of you as a quarterback, and that's tough to put someone in. If Tennessee doesn't have 3+ turnovers, there's no way they lose this game. Iowa has the worst offense in the country. They don't do anything creative. They don't do anything cool. They don't get the ball to receivers, mostly because they don't have receivers, because they never throw it to them. Their tight ends, their two best players, are both out, Eric All and it's like Leahy or Levy. So,
Lachey?
yeah. Or is it the tight end that got injured earlier this year that tore his ACL? Yeah, Lachey. They're not a very good team. They went through a piss poor Big Ten West that has other really bad offenses. I just don't think the Big Ten West is really going to be relevant again for a long time until they get some talent actually circling through there. But so far, Big Ten teams have made every single game look like a Big Ten West game. So maybe that does say something about their bowl preparation. But outside of that, no, I don't think this game will be that close.
Yeah, you said you don't think Iowa's going to be able to do much. I don't think they really will have to. If you give me a true freshman against Iowa's defense and 6.5 points, I'm going to take it. Circa's got it at 5.5. FanDuel's got it at 6.5. This is just going to be a shit show of a game. And then if you're getting over almost a touchdown there, he's still a true freshman. He may be talented, but I think Iowa's weird enough to care about this game defensively. So I like the 6.5.
So you're taking
Iowa. I don't like it, but
you're taking Iowa minus
You're gonna take it
plus the points. Are they're underdogs?
plus 6.5.
Plus
Yep.
6.5.
So
okay. I'm just making notes.
this could very well be 6-0.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
I think the problem though is Iowa this year hasn't limited turnovers. They've not been a clean football team. Penalties have been good for them, but they've turned the ball over. That's how Michigan won. They literally got 4 possessions within the 25, and now it's 26-0 because your offense moved the ball across half field one time all game, and it was because it was a 20-yard punt. So unless we see some special teams touchdowns, I just don't see Iowa having enough to keep this game close. Iowa's really good at teams that they're as talented as, but once they get out talented, that scheme can only do so much, especially with an offense that is going to put them on the field a ton.
Yeah, and they will be missing All-American / first-round corner Cooper DeJean, star of the Rashard Mendenhall white team on defense. We'd probably need that guy, but he will not be in. So obviously that hurts Iowa a little bit, but I probably won't be watching the game anyway. So
yeah.
Moving on.
Well, I'd probably watch that. Yeah, whatever. But before we get into the semi games here, the big games, the big boys, do we want to talk about this whole Catapult controversy with iPads quick? I know we talked about it before we went live. I just want to bring it up again and see if you guys have more thoughts. I haven't read a lot about it. I just saw some tweets, people saying it's Ohio State guys that run the company, and nobody's using iPads now because of this whole thing, but you guys might have more information than I do.
Yeah, I think getting conspiratorial and saying, oh, it's OSU because guys are connected to the company doesn't do much. I think we'll figure out what happened. There's a lot of rumors flying out there, but I think it could be more widespread than even we think. It sounds like there's a security error where people could kind of access other teams' practice film because it's all stored in the same cloud server. So if you're playing a team that week, you can see what their practices look like, which is obviously a pretty large competitive advantage.
Yeah.
But we don't know how much or anything like that, so to speculate more is kind of scummy in my opinion. I'm sure we'll figure it out in about 18 months after a full season of football has been played. and say maybe irrelevant by then. They can't even hold any of their current rules up, much less. So it's kind of just a shit show. But I'm excited because anything that's kind of done behind the scenes like that needs to be brought to light, and then you need to get punished if you're punished. So.
I just want to know why Connor Stallions would do this again, and hopefully we'll figure that out. But no, I have so much fatigue on this. Honestly, college football in general, the news is just more and more absurd every day. So we'll find out. The NCAA will find out, and they won't do anything.
In a year.
So,
I did see a funny
and then
meme.
we can punish the new kids who weren't there when it happened.
Now that you brought up
Right.
Connor Stallions, I saw a funny meme of like when he was on the sideline for the Central game. It was the Pop Tart logo mascot was behind him. It was funny, but
The Pop Tart memes are really good.
yeah,
Yeah,
they're
they're great.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how this pans out. We all know the NCAA takes their sweet time. They're taking their sweet time with the whole Michigan investigation. They'll probably take their sweet time with this Catapult stuff. So, give it a year, and we'll probably know what's going on. Hopefully, it takes less time, but at this point, everybody's probably cheating a little bit here and there. I think Michigan did more than most teams, but everybody's kind of trying to get that advantage, whatever that is. If you're popping some kind of steroids, I bet you guys are doing that in cycling, but that's a conversation for another time. But
100%.
that's a conversation for another time. But let's jump into
talk to college baseball players about steroid
Yeah.
use.
yeah. But let's jump into these semifinal games here. This will be the chunk of the live and the podcast. So if you're listening and tuning in, we appreciate you guys. I'll say it again. Feel free to, if you're in YouTube or Twitch, feel free to throw some questions out. I'll do my best to look. We can always answer.
Yeah,
questions.
give us some questions.
We can always
fellas.
answer questions
Jeez.
at the end. But we appreciate you guys tuning in and listening to Promo Guys picks. But we're gonna go to
Got
the
a bunch
first.
of you just sitting there, so speak up.
I appreciate the views, though. I'll take that shit all day. But the first semifinal, the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl presented by Prudential. I love all the I just hate all this bullshit with the names and shit. But we got Alabama, Michigan. I got current spread numbers, and we can jump into it, boys. I got Michigan -2 favored over under. This is ESPN bet 44.5. I got Bama here. As my pick, I'm kind of a homer. I'm super biased. I hate Michigan with a passion. If you haven't listened to us talk before, it's pretty evident. So fuck Michigan. I'll get that out of the way. But I think I was talking to some of my buddies yesterday when we were out and about. I just think Milroe being athletic causes problems for Michigan. I know that's been a thing we've talked about in the past. When Michigan sees an athletic quarterback, sometimes things can happen. This could be a really low-scoring game. Both teams have had 3 weeks to prepare. Both defenses are really good. I just think Bama has a slight advantage with the quarterback, and I think this has been a great year of coaching by Nick Saban. As much as I, hate seeing Bama win over and over again, where they were in the first 3 weeks of the year compared to where they are now, they're a completely different team, a much better team. And shout out Tommy Rees for, doing a hell of a job and figuring out that offense. But I'm gonna take Bama just money line because that's my pick for our pick'em. But I'm looking forward to this game. I think this will be a fun game. Great matchup.
Yeah, I got Michigan here. Try not to be biased when I make these picks. 2 years ago when Michigan played Georgia, I had Georgia. I was like, this game is maybe close for a half, and then Georgia pulls away because I thought they were a much better team after watching it. I think this is a very evenly matched game. I think whichever side you choose, it's a good decision because it's going to come down to a few low bounces, honestly, that'll decide this game. I don't think that there's a ton of evidence that one team is significantly better than the other. I think that it really comes down to what team can really exploit the other team's weaknesses. So we'll get into stats and get into the preview, but overall, I think this is going to be a hell of a matchup, and it's the granddaddy of them all, like you said, Dave. So shout out to that.
Yeah, I haven't watched these teams a whole lot this year. Whether
KB will be back. Don't worry. Go ahead, Sam.
Where'd he go? Okay, whatever. Whether it be I'm at an MSU game or a different game, I haven't seen a whole lot of either of these teams. But from some of the research I've done, this might be the best set of corners on both sides. The best matchup that we've seen in a while. Obviously, Bama's got Kool-Aid McKinstry, all-name team.
Absolutely.
Will Johnson for Michigan, I'm super impressed with that guy, mainly because you don't even hear about him. If you watch a Michigan game, they just don't throw to one side of the field. So maybe the best top two corners matchup that I've seen in a while. I don't know if Saner's still number 0. I don't know if he's just kind of jack of all trades defensive back, but I'm sure he could go out on the outside. He's electric. He finds the ball. He's just hard hitter. Super impressed by that guy, number 0.
Mhm.
I think the key there, if Michigan can get Donovan Edwards involved in the pass game, which I think they have in the past, that's kind of going to help out a little bit. And then Colston Loveland, the tight end, I've kind of liked that guy since he's a sophomore now, KB.
Yeah.
Yeah, he good route runner. He seems to be open, good hands. I think he'll have to get him involved too. But as far as containing Milrow, I'm not sure a whole lot about Michigan's defense outside of the corners, who I've been impressed with. Obviously, when you watch them against MSU, everyone looked like an All-American, so
We suck.
no real insight there. I think the coaching matchup here, obviously 2 elite football minds. Harbaugh's kind of a dweeb, but you can't really argue with his results. Obviously, Saban is one of the GOATs. You give them both a month to kind of scheme some stuff up. I think the first quarter might be kind of fun. Maybe some gadget plays or some schemes that are like kind of different than their normal tendencies. I think they might score a little bit in the first quarter, but I think it's going to tighten up quite a bit as the game goes on. Both coaches really good in prep, really good in game. So I see this one being a little more low scoring, maybe like 20-17, but I do have the blue guys winning this game.
Ooh. Yeah, I can help you out. So on some of the stuff, I'm not going to call myself an expert, but I do know basically everything about Michigan. Sainristil will bounce outside if one of the 2 corners is struggling and or out. So when Will Johnson got injured in the OSU game, Sainristil went outside, and then Jaden McBurrows, who I think is a redshirt junior, he jumped inside. He's a little bit bigger of a body, but Sainristil is really playing in that plus nickel position. They'll blitz him a lot, really impressive. But
has
defensive...
McBurrows recovered from the murder when he was killed last year?
Yeah, he got an interception in the MSU game. I'm sure you probably stopped watching because it was a murder, but yeah.
Yeah, so it sucks that those MSU players were not executed for their role, but
honestly, on the spot.
Jesus
yeah.
Christ.
Why were they allowed to leave the
I'm glad
city of
Mr.
Ann Arbor?
Burrows or whatever is healed up from
He got a
his,
pick in that game? I didn't know that.
Tragedy.
He got his
Oh,
payback,
that
I
really
guess.
sucks. I didn't know that either.
That sucks, yeah.
Yeah, he got the last pick, the one that was tipped.
All right, cut that part out.
Yeah.
Get roasted. No, but just to follow up on defensive line, Michigan rotates a lot of people through, so no one has like great individual stats. So Jalen Harrell, he's the guy who got the pressure late against OSU that caused the pick. He has 8 tackles for loss, 6.5 sacks. Josiah Stewart was a transfer from Coastal. He has 6.5 tackles for loss, 4.5 stats. Derek Moore, he's a true sophomore, 5 tackles for loss, 4 sacks. Braden McGregor, he's the old senior. He's really great in run defense. He has 7 tackles for loss out of this unit, but I think he only has 1.5 sacks. But the guys that'll make the biggest impact in the way that you kind of have to stop Milrow is internal pressure, because you got to kind of contain the pocket, but you have to squeeze it. And if you can get Alabama has terrific interior offensive line play. Their tackles were somewhat suspect earlier on in the season, but they've really taken off. But the guys that are great is Mason Graham. He's a true sophomore, 6.5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks. You have Kenneth Grant, who's 6'4", 348. He's a big boy. He's the one that tracked down Katron Allen running away.
I noticed him in
you saw that pretty
game.
viral. Yeah, pretty viral clip. He has 4 tackles for loss, 2 sacks. And then the senior who kind of rounds out that unit is Chris Jenkins, 3.5 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks. They're not really playing. They don't put up a collective stats, but they don't play a ton of snaps, and they really didn't get a lot of snaps early on in the season, so they didn't rack up stats against really bad teams. But really impressive group. I think the game really comes down to, and I want to bounce this to Dave, is both in Michigan's last 2 games in the playoffs, they were down early at half, and they kind of had to abandon their game plan. They had to get outside of their comfort zone, so that's what I think Michigan has to do to keep this game close and to keep it competitive. Because once you get in the fourth quarter, that's when Michigan kind of leans on teams. And do you think Michigan can get this game to the fourth quarter where it's a 3-point game or they're up 7, where they don't get blown out again early? It was 21-6 against TCU. I think it was 28-3 against Georgia. So that's kind of what we're asking here.
Yeah, I think for me, JJ being healthy, I know he was a little banged up. I don't know if it was an ankle or right, KB, is something else, or was it an ankle?
It was an ankle.
And he really didn't throw much, the last, 3 or 4 games. And I think this is a game where he's got to show out. I think, A lot of people are high on him. He was in Heisman talk for a little bit there, which I really didn't understand because Michigan wins a certain way. They run the ball. JJ will make a big throw here or there, but in my opinion, to be a Heisman, you have to like take your team to the next level. And he just did what he was asked, which isn't a bad thing. I think he's a solid quarterback, but I think I don't have him as high as some people. So for me, for Michigan to be in this game, obviously you have Corum and Edwards. I think Corum's been obviously better. Edwards, I don't know, his knee could still be bugging him. I know they both had surgery. But I think JJ needs to throw the ball here and be successful. Maybe they throw the ball 30 times. I couldn't tell you the last time Michigan threw the ball that many times in a game, but I think
Purdue.
Right, that makes sense. And I don't even think he had a passing touchdown because they got down in the red zone and then they'd
Yeah.
hand it off to Corum. But,
Yes.
for me, I just think this is time JJ's time to shine, and I think Bama's secondary is very good, but you can still slice and dice them if you need to, and the play action could be big. So maybe in the fourth quarter it's a close game. I think we all agree that it's gonna be low scoring. So maybe going into the fourth quarter it's like 17-20 or 17 up. And then we see who the real big boys are. I'm still going to take Bama, but I think this will be close, and I think JJ can really catapult his name. I know a lot of people are really high on him, but for me, if he makes a couple big throws, it will be, I'll gain a lot of respect for him, especially against a team like Bama, who's had 3 or 4 weeks to prepare.
I think
Yeah, that's
my question here, I guess, kind of directed at you, KB, is what about Michigan's like pass catchers outside? Like I know I said something about Loveland. I like him a lot, but how do you feel about the receivers against Bama secondary,
yeah,
which
Good question.
obviously has a first round corner with Kool-Aid, and then
probably two.
yeah, yeah, the other guy I don't know his name, but
Yeah, Terrion Arnold.
yeah. What do you think?
I mean, the good news is Michigan doesn't use pass catchers, so no, seriously, I think you can't come at them with simple concepts. Like if you only throw sails and deep ends, like their defense, which I research pretty intensively, is the cover 3 match, cover 6 concepts. They communicate a lot, and so what ends up happening is it's basically if you run 2x2 sets, they have an inside guy, an outside guy. If you go inside, the outside corner drops and passes it off to the safety that will come down, and they kind of take a deep half, and then if he keeps going in, he'll pass it off to the linebacker and so on. And so you can sometimes confuse them with stacking people so they can't jam you on the release. They can motion, which Michigan does already a ton of. You can do, but it's going to have to be schemed. I don't think Michigan really has a guy that is going to threaten these guys deep. And so you're going to have to come up with a really creative play to get a guy kind of one-on-one with maybe a safety where they aren't on one of those really electric cornerbacks, but their safeties are good at coverage anyway. And, push the ball. Roman Wilson would be the speedster. Samaj Morgan is a Michigan kid, freshman that had some really great end arounds is kind of a gadget player, so maybe getting him more involved. But it's a very daunting task to go against this team. And Michigan, for whatever reason, doesn't run play action pass. They're a 20% play action pass team, which with how often they run the ball and for the most part how effectively they run the ball is absolutely bananas to me. They run. They're the third best team. They're like plus 4.6 in advanced analytics per play on that versus Alabama, who's actually a net negative play action passing team, and they run it by far the least out of any of the teams left in the playoffs. So that's going to be something of a concern, is you're going to have to get creative in your schemes and concepts, which we haven't seen Harbaugh do until in the second half in these games. And I think you have to come out swinging in these games, and Harbaugh hasn't done a good job of that either the last 2 years. And basically, their last handful of playoffs since Michigan lost in 2016 to FSU, was really the last time where they looked well prepared for a playoff game. Everything else, they kind of looked, burnt toast for the most part offensively.
Would you?
Yeah, I feel like if they can't go deep, it's going to kind of compress things, and it can get really sticky there with
Windows
8 guys
can
in the
close.
box and stuff. So I know JJ's been really efficient, but I think I do trust him a little more than Milroe, I would say, which I think that edge gives them, favors them a little bit, in my opinion. So I'm not like saying Michigan's a lock by any means, but I think I trust them a little more than Bama, who has had some really shitty games, like 2 week or was it the last week of the year? Iron Bowl. Like
They should have
don't get-
lost.
I'm
let's
gonna
be
get
honest.
going on this playoff committee thing again, but it's like people forget their bad performances when it really wasn't that long ago. So
Yeah.
I think it will be a close game. Just they're so well coached, both teams, but I do think it does have some blowout potential, and by that I mean like double digits. So I think Michigan could come out of here up with like a 31-10 win. That wouldn't surprise me a whole lot.
And I think they can get blown out. Like if they don't play a crisp game, Alabama. I want to kind of talk about a narrative, Dave. Unless you have something to add, what we were just.
I was just
going to
ask a question. If you think Michigan.
Also, shout out to the peach long drinks.
Yeah.
We got a comment
They
about
are
me
really
hydrating regularly. I can't stop drinking these things.
They are
so
really good.
Go to Meyer, grab a 6-pack. They're phenomenal.
I had one yesterday. No, I just had my question, KB, was do we think Michigan comes out and takes a shot right away and being aggressive, maybe takes a deep shot on the first or second play of the game?
Maybe. I think I'd be surprised, and this is why they've had extreme protection issues, really since the Purdue game.
Is it the right guard that was getting eaten alive, or the other guy?
Right tackle.
So the right tackle in the Penn State game, I chalk that up to not being able to hear the snap count because they were using a silent cadence, and he just wasn't getting out of his stance.
Okay.
That was that issue, but against Iowa, it was really suspect. Against Maryland, it was really suspect. In Ohio State, it was suspect, and neither of those environments were crazy enough to cause that. Obviously, Zach Zinter, All-American unanimous, going down at the right guard position sucks. The right tackle now is Trente Jones, who was basically an additional lineman. He was that 93 guy that you messaged me about, Sam, that he was technically a tight end.
Yeah, I thought he
for the
was
Penn
a D
State
lineman.
game. Yeah, he is.
Oh.
Well, he's not a D lineman. He's an O lineman. He's a tackle. But he's, in my opinion, a better pass protector. He's more athletic. He's longer. And Carson Barnhart is more of a guard build. And so I think that the offensive line might not be better because you can't replace a unanimous All-American, but the weak points are maybe a little smaller. So I don't think, though, Dave, because they need to make sure that they can protect. Mm-hmm. They need to prove themselves that they can protect before they just drop JJ back on a 6-step drop that takes 2.5 seconds to develop, and all of a sudden you have what's his name? Damn it,
Dallas Turner. I was gonna.
Yeah, Dallas Turner or Justin.
He's a menace.
Justin.
He's the guy that
Obligue or Braswell just in his mouth.
Good luck saying that. But Turner's the guy that knocked Jaden Daniels out of the LSU game when that was kind of heating up. So that kind of ended the game right in its tracks. But he looks to be pretty close to unblockable on the edge. So I think the right tackle spot might be cause of concern. But I mean, if that's your weak spot, then you can scheme stuff around that. So I think they will.
Yeah, and on top of that, I do want to say he also is the guy that knocked Quinn Ewers out, so and injured him.
Watch out! Yeah,
he's doing something.
So I'm not calling him a headhunter. If any Alabama fans are in here, but he hits hard. He's very aggressive, and he would get flagged a lot in the NFL, is what I'm saying.
If there's an Alabama fan in here, let me know. That would be funny. There's Max.
What was your What was your narrative thing you were gonna talk about, KB?
Yeah, so it was basically like, wow, this Alabama team really turned it around in their last 6 games, and I think we overinflate what they did against Georgia to mean the rest of the time. So if you look at kind of who they played down the stretch, and this is more the offense, like the offense really figured it out. They looked great. Per advanced analytics, per like EPA per play, their last 6 games, which I'm not including Chattanooga because this is not, I'm looking at Power 5 opponents. They played Arkansas, Tennessee, LSU, Kentucky, Auburn, and Georgia. Defensively, they played the 40th, 30th, 124th, 70th, and 63rd ranked teams. 36th. So their best team they played was Tennessee, and they scored 34 points, which was 7 above Tennessee's season average against Power 5 opponents, and that was, the strip sack fumble. They really haven't exploded offensively against any good defenses. You saw basically what happened with Texas, and I just don't think that there's these great defenses in the SEC that we're used to. Mm-hmm. I see at least every few plays someone running wide open, like someone just free as day, no one near them. And I don't think you're necessarily going to get that against Michigan. I think that their defense, they haven't held a single, in their last 6 games, they haven't held anyone under 20 points. So I see a lot of narratives about Michigan not being able to score 20 points. I think 20 points is probably the ceiling, somewhere in there. I know they have 3 weeks, but so does Michigan. So I just think that this narrative that, wow, they really turned it over. They kind of launching this next epsilon of energy, I mean, is really taking what they did against Georgia and backtracking it against all their opponents. Jalen Milroe's completing is allowing, or their defense is allowing 60% completion percentage, less than 200 yards, 8 TDs, but they're allowing 142 rushing yards per game over their last 6 games. And then Jalen Milroe, who's played better, but the splits is really he was completing around 60% of his passes, and he's just over 62%. The big difference is big plays and guys running free and them using his legs to extend plays. That's really been the big difference. I don't think Tommy Rees, looking back, has really figured it out, quote unquote. I think Milroe has just been able to be such an electric lightning rod. No one rushes the passer. They don't have to worry about blitzers. They take 1 to 2 guys out of coverage to spy him, and that makes things super easy for a quarterback in terms of getting to his reads and kind of throwing the ball. And so that's kind of what I've seen as the biggest difference, is they've been able to escape the pocket and he's made plays, but it hasn't been like Tommy Rees figured it out. He's making, magic now. And Dave, your last point, this being Alabama's best coaching job, this team is by far the most talented team in the entire country. They're much more talented by Georgia. They're much more talented than anyone else in the country. So in my opinion, like, getting that out of them is the expectation.
I think I would question that,
Touche.
but
I don't know. I don't.
by far
No,
it's
they
pretty
are.
spicy.
Team
but,
talent ranking
well, yeah, okay,
is
yeah.
they're number one by far. They have the best on paper. They have the most talented team in the country. Getting them to achieve that talent isn't great coaching. It's your job as a coach.
I will say, as Saban he's a damn good coach, but he said some really weird stuff. I don't know if you saw. I don't know if he was on I think it was on McAfee, where he kind of shit on analytics and stuff. Where he said, I forget the exact comment, but it was kind of a red flag. Like, you can shit on analytics all you want, but like when it comes down to it, that's like it's the best way to win a football game in the long run. So it's kind of like for the sports bettors in here, the analytics stuff, like sometimes it's not pretty and it makes you do weird shit, but so is like the betting that we do. Like last night we bet on, what was it, Scotty Barnes assists. Do I know who that is? Absolutely not. But it was a good price. So in the long run, it's going to work out. So if he's gonna make some weird decisions in game, like in spite of analytics, then again, I do think that kind of pushes the advantage to Michigan as well. Like, I think Harbaugh, as weird as the guy is, he's kind of a football savant. So he'll do what it takes to win the game. I had a question for you, KB. As far as containing Milroe, would you rather see like more of a pass rush or at the expense of getting pressure, like kind of like trust the secondary a little bit more?
Yeah.
And geez, my long drink filled itself back up.
I don't mind seeing a QB spy, but you can't always run QB spy. And I don't mind always pressuring, but you have to mix it up. You have to keep them guessing. And I think Michigan runs a lot of zone. They run a lot of cover 3, a lot of cover 1 zones. They do a lot of things defensively. They can confuse you. They put people in weird spots. And I think the best way to get to Milroe is pressure him. His pressure stats versus his clean pocket stats is like, I think he's completing 46% of his passes when under pressure. So you can do things that are basically QB spies. So if you push the line left and collapse the left side and you loop a linebacker, someone athletic enough to stay with him, which I don't know if Michigan really has anyone that's fast enough, but you kind of have to hope, right? And you force him to his left where he isn't as good, right? So you pressure on defensive left, you pressure to the left, and you force him to his left, and which is a side he isn't comfortable with throwing on the run off platform, and you loop a linebacker there. That's as effective as a QB spy. You have to get him off his point, but I think you have to change it up. And I do want to say, my comments about Nick Saban, this is the best coaching job, I think he's one of the best. I mean, he's the best coach ever college football. I was just saying that narrative is kind of floated around, and like, you have the most talented team. You have the most 5 stars. I mean, I'm not impressed with you doing the job just because Texas kicked your ass in your home stadium earlier on in the year. Like, that doesn't do it for me.
Yeah. We've been talking about this game for 20 minutes. I think that's plenty enough. Do we have any picks or bets we want to say before we move on to the other semi-final game? I know this is a big deal for KB. Can Michigan get over the hump? I don't know. But I know Sam might have a pick here. So you got anything?
Yeah, I would just keep an eye on the total. Like 45 is kind of a key number. If it goes above that, I did see a 46 and a half at Bet Rivers. Any of those can be books, but that has since gone. Um, I'm probably not going to bet on it. I can't really bring myself to bet on Michigan. And then I'd be double sad if I bet on Bama, lost money, and Michigan won. So I might put a little Loveland touchdown action down, but I think I'm just going to sit back and enjoy what I consider to be the best bowl game, maybe the best setting in sports. So the Rose Bowl is always awesome, even if it's Michigan versus Alabama. So I'm gonna enjoy the game.
Awesome. Same. Any more closing thoughts, KB?
Nope. I'm excited for this game. Really just happy that kind of how this has all worked out. One of the things the last thing I do want to say is Michigan doesn't have great yards per play or play per game, but their offense scores a lot. So that'll be one of the things because they take short fields and score. So that's really what has juiced their offense. Alabama is a great third down conversion and fourth down conversion team. They're 15th in the country and first, and great in red zone, 7th. And Michigan has done a good job stopping that. So that's one of the keys to victory. I'm taking Michigan. I believe in this team. I believe they can, finally get over the hump. But it's not easy to get over the hump, especially against a team this tremendous, this talented, that has all this pedigree of winning these games.
Awesome. Good thoughts, guys. That's a good talk and chat about the game. But let's jump to the other game that I actually am looking really forward to as well. We have the All-State Sugar Bowl, Texas, Washington. The point spread I'm seeing is Washington +4, so they're the dogs. So Texas -4, over under 63.5 on ESPN. Bet. I have the dogs here, Huskies, as Sam and I would go, woo, 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 woo. Great stadium atmosphere. I know Sam has been to Husky Stadium a couple times.
Oh yeah,
I've been once. They smacked Michigan State last year, and this year. What do we know? Anyway,
yeah.
I think them being underdogs again is going to motivate this team. I think Texas had a great year. I think Sark has done a great job since he's been at Texas. I just think this Washington offense with Odunze and Penix in the running game with Dylan Johnson is just something else, and I think they can. I think this might be a back and forth fun game to watch, and I might sprinkle a little bit of the over just for fun. But give me the Huskies here. I think everybody's kind of looking over them, and I think they're going to use that as motivation. I think Kellen DeBoer has been he did that probably for the Pac-12 championship game. So give me the dogs here. But I think this is also another fun matchup. I'm looking forward to this one as well, and I'll be glued to my TV all New Year's Day past 5 o'clock. But any more thoughts, guys? I know we're going to probably talk about this one for 10 or 15 minutes, but I'm just looking forward to two really good matchups the last year of this bullshit committee. I think they actually had the best matchups for once, and they've been doing this for 10 years. But give me the Huskies, and looking forward to a fun game.
I have Texas in this game. I know that's going to break some hearts here, but when I look at this Washington team, I see a tough team. I see a team that learned how to run the ball when Penix was injured and dealing with his injuries. And that gives me some gratefulness, but you're not really going to be able to effectively run the ball against this defensive front. They're the best left remaining in the top 4 where they can clog up holes. I think tempo can be used in this game, especially effectively for Washington, but I think you give Sark this much time against DeBoer, this much time. I think they're both going to have great game plans like we saw last year. And I think that I just trust the team who has a little bit better of a defense because I expect both offenses to be firing on all cylinders. The one cause for concern for Texas that I have is they're a really bad third down and red zone scoring team. They're ranked 69th, nice, in third down conversion, but they're 92nd in red zone scoring. So really a cause for concern there. I messaged or sent out a tweet to the CFP nerds who are guys who do advanced analytics. They have a podcast too. But I asked them, why do you think, they were like, Sark's such a great play caller. And I was like, yeah, but why isn't he good at third down and in the red zone? Those are the places where red zone, where play calling is most efficient. And they said, we're not as high on Ewers as everyone else. He lacks poise and lacks finesse in those situations. I hope his new diet, which we'll hear about at least 10 times during the game, provides him some better throwing mechanics on those downs. But yeah, this should be a wonderful game. I'm excited for both of these matchups here, and it's going to be interesting to see what Washington can do. Penix is an absolute goat. Odunze and that wide receiver core and everyone getting back healthy is also huge. Sammy,
Yeah.
you have your thoughts? I
Yeah,
mean,
I got quite a lot to say here actually. Kind of as a pseudo Washington fan these last few years. Remember the first podcast I went on, like as the sports betting guy, whatever. It was like the week before MSU went out to Seattle last year to play Washington, and I was like, bet your entire 401k on Michael Penix over everything. And they're like, whatever. Yeah. Like Washington was coming off a shitty year, and Penix is just this hobbled transfer guy from Indiana. I was like, no, seriously, like he is my dad. Like he is gonna do whatever he wants, and he's absolutely exploded since then. So,
Yeah.
I think this is a better Washington team than last year. This is actually a rematch of the Alamo Bowl last year, which Washington won 27-20. But I think Texas is a heck of a lot better too. So, um, I'm a little nervous with how Washington's gonna like. I think they'll move the ball. Obviously, their offense is arguably the most fun to watch in the nation. But Texas's interior D line, especially, is unbelievable. Um, I don't think they should totally abandon the run, but I think what's the coordinator's name? Ryan Grubb. Um, I've been really impressed with his game planning and his willingness to mix it up a little bit. I think they got to get Jeremy Bernard. He's kind of outside the big three: Odunze, Polk, McMillan. I think that's the best receiving core in the nation. But Bernard is kind of a jack of all trades kind of guy. He can run the ball. He's thrown a few passes. I think he's a guy to look out for. Former Spartan actually transferred away this year. Good decision by him. Um, I put this out in the Discord a couple weeks ago, maybe last week. His touchdown line was plus 700. I think that's
wow.
way too high. It's
Yeah.
kind of settled at plus 500, which I'd still take that, honestly. KB was talking about the red zone issues for Texas. I think Washington's going to have a big problem in the red zone. Whenever you have D tackles like Texas does, you can't really run inside zone. Not that Washington's a running team anyway, but when that's not an option, um, you can kind of allocate your resources elsewhere. So I think they can get a little spicy with Bernard, maybe on a jet sweep or a bubble screen or something just to get him on the outside. I think that's pretty good value. Um, I think Penix being healthy, he was pretty clearly hobbled
His
throughout
ribs
the
were.
season
His ribs had
after
to
that
be
Oregon
broke.
game.
His
He
ribs had to be
was
broken.
pissed off.
Yeah.
Big win, but they were guarding him. They were like security guards around him, like don't touch him, don't touch him. I think he might have cracked a rib or something worse.
Absolutely.
I think on the Texas defensive side of the ball, like, do they even want to try pressure? Penix throws the ball, he gets it out so quickly. Um, they can kind of hold the line of scrimmage with their D tackles, and I don't think they really have to send more guys in pressure. That would just kind of be a wasted resource. So I think Penix is going to have to hit those tight windows, which he's shown that he can do. But on this big of a stage, I'm a little nervous about his ability to um, completely take over a game against a Texas defense that's pretty darn good. But I mean, I do have to kind of take the Huskies here. I think they beat them last year. I think it's going to be a little more low scoring than people think. Obviously, Texas has scored. They crushed Oklahoma State in the last time out, and then Washington's offense is what it is. But um, I think it's going to be a little more low scoring, and in that case, you always kind of want to take the team that can run the ball. Obviously, Brooks is out for Texas, All-American type running back.
Yes.
That'll hurt them a little bit, but I think Texas will be able to run the ball a little more.
Yeah.
I just think Washington's receiving core, they're going to make some plays inevitably. So super close game. I think this will probably be one of the best bowl games that we've seen anywhere. I think the Huskies pull it out.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said there, especially the Texas part running the ball. Washington has had extreme issues stopping the run. They showed up in the Oregon game, and they did a hell of a job. But for the most part of the year, I mean, USC ran effectively on them. And, some of these guys, that teams that don't really run the ball well, were able to get after Washington and force a really close game. They played a slew of really close games until they blew out Oregon there at the end. One thing I do want to mention with all this is a great wide receivers matchup. I think Worthy might be the fastest player at the wide receiver position in D1 football. He has inconsistent hands, which is really the only thing that has limited him this year, because he gets out there and he can he can fly by you, and Washington needs to be prepared for that. I think Adonai Mitchell's really good. Their tight end Sanders is really good.
Yep.
This is a really loaded offense, loaded up with 5 stars, especially on the line. And I just think they have such a good O-line that they can pound the ball and take the game out of Ewer's hands and really protect him. But either team can win this game. I think both of these games are, it depends on, it's kind of cliche, but turnovers and big plays. Who limits themselves in turnovers? Who makes one of those big plays? Because I think we're going to have a year where we don't see a blowout, just like we didn't see a blowout last year in either of the two games that came down to the last possession, missed field goal, weird bobbled snap. I think both these games could have that same aspect this year.
Yeah, like I've said both already, I'm looking forward to both matchups. I don't have really much more to say. I like Washington for sure. Like I said, I think it'll be a good game. Texas has chances, could make it close, and I can't pick Michigan in my bones, so I'm gonna go with Bama. So my final will be Washington Bama right now, and I would take Washington just because I want to ride with them right now. But obviously, we'll preview that game after these games are played, and we'll see who wins. But those are kind of my picks right now, and I'm really looking forward to the next couple days. We have the Lions tonight. We're all Michigan people, and they're great right now. So we have the Lions, and then Sunday will NFL, and then Monday we got all these great games. So I'm looking forward to some good football. I know my wife is sick and tired of football at this point of the year, but it is what it is, and at least the Lions are winning, and State is not playing, and we can just be optimistic about the new coaching. So. And I'm the optimist of the group, that promo guy. But that's all I pretty much had to say about this game. I know you guys might have some more points or picks, so feel free to take it away, and I can always jump in if you guys have any questions for me. But no more thoughts from me here. Give me the Huskies and that offense.
Yeah, the only stat that Washington really struggles at offensively is in the red zone. Sam, like you pointed out, that they already struggle in that. They're 61st compared to everything else being in the top 12. So that could be a cause for concern whenever you have a wide open, spread attack. When the quarters start getting tighter and safeties can be in spots that they're not usually at, that does slow down scoring. But overall, I think that the reason to kind of take Washington is Penix is a much better quarterback than Ewers. I think he makes so many good, consistent throws, but we've seen him kind of float a few. And I know this Texas secondary isn't widely regarded. They've been eaten up in a few games. They can get after it, and they do cause some really big key turnovers week in and week out. So that would be, one of those avenues for victory for Texas. Sam, you have anything else you want to say about your dogs?
No, I think that, I like their chances. Obviously, they're 13-0. You don't get that way by accident, but. Yeah, I'd be lying if I said I was confident either way. So I'll just go with the homer pick. But Quist, you said Washington's going to take it all. I have Michigan in the Rose Bowl. If I had to go on record, I'd say 20-14. I'm going to say that. I think Washington takes the Sugar Bowl. I'm going to say 31-27. And then I'm not going to really comment on that Michigan-Washington matchup because that's going to hurt. But yeah, I do think that Michigan is going to be your national champion.
Sad to say though that Georgia couldn't have won and Michigan Washington would have been playing 2-3 for the last year of the Rose Bowl in the Pac-12 Big Ten matchup. That would have been literally the cherry on top of everything. But overall, I'm excited for these matchups. If I had to say one more thing about either of these two games is Milroe is by far the best quarterback Michigan has played in terms of extending plays, and Dave mentioned it, but I think if he can get hot, if Michigan allows him some really early, easy completions, which the only quarterback somewhat comparable, not even the same level of passer as Gavin Wimsatt from Rutgers, but Michigan let him get comfortable. They gave him a lot of easy hitches and outs, and then in this second half, he's going scrambling and throwing across his body and completing a pass that we haven't seen him complete in 8 weeks. So not allowing him to get his confidence, not allowing him to get his feet planted is going to be huge for this Michigan team because when he's hot, man, he can make any throw in the country, and he throws a tremendous deep ball. We've seen that week in and week out. So I'm excited for both these games. I hope I'm happy on Tuesday with a Michigan win, but overall, sanctions are probably coming next year. I'm living in the best tenure of Michigan football history.
And a hard schedule.
Three straight years with 12 plus wins. That's something that I'd never been alive for. So I'm grateful, and I'm trying to live in the moment as much as I can, just on that basis. I'm sure state fans, maybe took advantage of beating everyone every year, and now they're in hell. They know what it feels like to have to go through that. So
Yeah.
hopefully Michigan can stay at the top and at least nine wins. As being a bottom out versus, let's say, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And go blue.
I'll say go green right now. I'm not really going to end anything yet. I'm going to keep the stream up, and I'm going to keep recording because why not? If you're listening to the podcast, thank you. It's going to go live tomorrow morning. If you guys that are hanging out on YouTube, I don't really have much people in my Twitch channel, but feel free to drop some questions for myself, KB, or Sam. We'll probably hang around for another 5 or 10 minutes. If there's no questions, we'll just end the stream here. But I'm going to grab some water, and if you guys want to jump in the chat, feel free. This is kind of your guys' time to ask questions or plug promo guy. I know he's probably made you some money. He's made me some money here and there. So feel free to hang out in the chat. And if nobody wants to say much, we'll just end it in a minute here. But I'm going to grab some water. Just want to say thanks to Sam for being here and KB per usual. But Sam, I know we go way back and always appreciate your thoughts and your bets, of course. So just had to say that one more time. And I'm going to grab some water. But feel free to pop in the chat, guys.
Yeah, we're not hanging out here super long. So if you got anything, let me know. But if there's nothing, I'm not going to hang around. So, look at betting discussion. Oh, the drink from Meyer. Okay, so I am like a hipster with this drink. I was drinking it before it was cool. Long drink. It's this Finnish thing that somehow I read about a couple of years ago, and then I saw it in Meyer one day. Drank it, and holy shit, is it the best thing ever? So KB can attest to that.
Yeah.
Perfect golf drink when it's hot in the summer. Yeah, grab it. It's worth
Yeah,
every
it's a
penny,
gin-based drink. There's 3 variations. There's strawberry, or not.
Cranberry.
There's cranberry. The main one, which is like citrus, which is grapefruit flavored, and then the peach one. All of them are tremendous. All of them are great.
There's a zero sugar
there's
one,
some of the best
the
drinks.
regular,
Yeah.
which is like a
And then
white
there's like a
can,
double
and then there's a
alcohol
black
one.
can that's
Which-
like double, which I
There's
don't
a
really like
black
the way
can.
it tastes, but it'll get you messed up.
Am I affiliated with PlayStation now? Absolutely not. Team Xbox.
Yeah. I used to be a PlayStation guy. They asked you to look at the betting discussion,
Oh
Sam.
my! Hold on. A little typo in the email. I do have an admin guy that does the emails and stuff, so don't blame me for that. I'm on Xbox. Funny story about Xbox. My gamer tag used to be Mel Tucker,
Not anymore.
the former MSU football coach. I did have to change that for obvious reasons. So now I'm Tom Izzo. If you want to send a message or two in the gaming channel, which we do have one. I'm dog shit at every video game, but I do have a good time. So this guy up here, KB, will carry you to as many dubs as you want in any game. So
I used to, yeah. And I used to
Hop
play a
on
lot of
with us
Call of Duty.
sometime.
We used to go hard, but KB and I also used to just go. We did a lot of ranked Halo last year.
Yeah. But and just to clarify, like our podcast is not, we're not experts, we're just fans, man.
Yeah.
We're just fans who enjoy the game
fans,
of college
one ball.
football. So a lot of our
we're not-
research is just
we're not
fan done and
wizards here.
vibes, and yeah, this is not advice of any means for betting. This isn't, well, Sam's an expert, but
Yeah,
I was
me,
terrible
me,
at picks.
I'll speak for myself. I'm bad at picks. So it's just a fan thing, and appreciate everyone who was here listening. I mean, Sam gave some good little cookies there, and hopefully he doesn't end up with the gulag and the bets cash. So
yeah, geez. Appreciate you guys who are still in there. I know we had quite a few in here at one point, but obviously we start droning on and on and on, and it's like listening to
We had
me
16,
when I was
at
teaching.
peak. Yeah.
No, it was in the 30s. It was in
Oh,
the
wow.
40s. But
Guys, in the beginning, we had some people just hanging.
I'm a little long-winded, so I know why some people left. But appreciate you guys stopping by. A little Saturday afternoon,
Mhm.
talking about my favorite sport. So
Same.
looking forward to the games. If we don't have any questions here within the next minute or so, I'm getting off. Maybe they'll stick around, but I'm certainly not.
I'm probably going to stop
So,
the stream at 1:15.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. I'll get some bets out here in a sec, but I kind of take the Saturdays off, as you guys know. So, yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm going to do it in a minute. Well, I'm going to stop it in a minute. So if anybody else has a quick question, feel free. But besides that, thanks again to everybody that's been in here. Thanks to KB. Thanks to Sam. We've been doing this this is our first year. It's been up and down, but we've been consistent. We're grinding, and Feel free to, we're on Spotify, Two Fans, One Paul.
Check it out.
Check it out. Any listens is great for us. We're trying to get up, get some more listens, but it takes a grind and it takes some time to get there. So just plug that one more time and say thanks again, and I'll say go green one more time. KB, we got
Go white.
30 seconds. You got anything else to say?
Yeah. Nope. I'll just say go blue, and hopefully Tuesday we're previewing a Michigan victory, and I get to stomp on some people's graves, so that'd feel nice.
All right, sounds good. Appreciate it. I'm gonna end
Okay.
everything now. The stream and the recording. We'll talk to you guys later next week. Best of luck to everybody in their bets, and hope Michigan loses. All right, see ya.
Love you guys.
Love you too.